Greetings, fellow humans. Pardon the technical snafus, but hey, sometimes you gotta adjust it. This is actually an AuthorTube video, and it's gonna be very conversational because I'm gonna be talking about my writer journey and how it began. Love me some Earl Grey. Okay, so the writer journey. A lot of people have asked me, how did I begin writing? That's a good question. I would have to go to the year. First signs of me wanting to write were obviously in grade school, where you have to do projects, and they say, "Oh, that was a clever little thing that you did," and and enjoying the experience of writing. Fast forward to 10th grade. 11th grade was with Father Golden. 10th grade. With a teacher, I actually wrote what would be an inspiration to the human cycle, which is a short story that I actually lost. I actually rewrote, submitted it in college for competition, and won third place because it had typos. But the overall reaction of people were, "Wow, that's really good, very imaginative, very original, very fresh." Hell of a compliment when you're a high schooler and a college guy. I took elements of that and I included it in my novel. But before I began writing my novel, I wrote a lot of poetry in high school and college. In college, you normally hit like a year where you're so swamped with work that you homework that you think that you don't have time until you have a full-time job and you realize how much time you had. But I wrote a lot of poetry. I wrote song lyrics for songs that I never composed. I do hope to compose them one day, maybe soon. But yeah, I did that, and then I got this funky idea to write a book. I began to write the book, and it was very slow going at first. And then I got invited to participate in a blog that no longer exists, but that holds a very dear spot in my heart, and in which I wrote for 9 years, obsessively so. I don't know the total number of blog posts that I wrote, but it had 9 years. It had to be something like 600 posts, easy, probably more. And I saw that people were responding to what I wrote, and I said, well, I might have to give this a shot, and I began writing a book. The whole book thing came about because I was lounging about. I had the TV on, I had music on, I was listening to Bach, I was chatting on Messenger, and I see a commercial for Underworld, and I say, I can write something better than that. I love Underworld, by the way. That's the inception of when I said I wanted to write something. Based fresh on ego and bravado, and saying, yeah, I can do it, I'm a man, I'm a writer. And then I saw how complicated it was. But I began, and I set out, and I organized, and I found the methods in my madness. I found my writer voice eventually. If you read my first book, Only Human, you'll see that it's very wordy until like chapter 10 or 11. And suddenly, you'll see that everything starts to flow a lot better. Several people have mentioned that in their reviews of my book, and it's true. And that's because I can see exactly where I found my writing voice and when the story took over. It wasn't just me using words and being fancy and telling a good story, it was the stories calling the shots. A couple of people have read the second book and said, oh, this is a much tighter read. Would you ever edit the first one? No, because it shows how I progress. And I do enjoy my first book. I read it and I reviewed it honestly. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I do stand by that opinion. It is not a 5-star book. It is not a 3-star book because I really enjoyed it and I would read it again. As a reader, I read it physically. The first time I read it physically, it was a bit surreal, and I was like, "What?" I forgot so many details because I'd written on so many other things. So I had the writing. I finished the manuscript, so then I had to begin transcribing because I had not transcribed one word. Between transcribing and editing, that took me a full year. Do not recommend it. and then I was asked if I wanted to participate in the Puerto Rico Comic Con since I had finished the book and whatnot. So that gave me my first real author deadline. I had to be ready by May 2014. Yeah, 2014. I had to be ready. And so many things happened. At one point, the jump drive where I had my novel got fried, and I had to ask for help retrieving the file. Not fun. I was able to retrieve the file. I was able to finish edits, and then I started the whole book tests and whatnot. And format was screwed up, and format was screwed up, and format was screwed up. There's like 4 very human versions of Only Human before the real one came out. My books arrived the day that I had to set up at the Puerto Rico Comic Con. Cause I like to cut it close. And I went there, and the response was very positive, and I met the family. I'll talk about them in another video. Friend, instead of fans, it's friend and fan. Friend 0 instead of patient 0. Friend 0. The first guy who actually bought my book. Great guy. Every year that I go, they go back to my booth, and it's to look back and know that people have stuck by me for 4 years and are asking, "Oh, what's next? What's cooking? What are you doing? Come on, we want to read." That is so motivating and so wonderful. But this is about the writer journey and how it began. So I did that, and I can't say it's snowballed. I don't think anything has snowballed for me. I think everything has been slow growth. Twitter has been bit by bit. Instagram has been bit by bit. YouTube now is finally getting traction because I watch so many booktube videos. I said, you know what, I'm going to do that because I am enjoying those tags. And people would go like, oh, you have something mildly interesting to say. And then a lot of people go, you're an author? What have you written? And then I just say I've written four poetry collections, 2 novels, a short story collection, and a bilingual collection. And they go like, send me the links. And I go like, there you go. The link to my Amazon page is below if you're interested. But everything has been slow growth. First year was tentative, but we had that, and the daydreams, the first versions of the daydreams were actually hand stitched. I printed them out. We hole punched it, and then we threaded some raffia so that it had texture, and I still think I have some of those left somewhere. And that's a collector's edition. But from there, to have one book and very, very humble showing, to have there to last year where I had the 8 books and the blank comics. I had 6 blank comics. And to be invited to interview Claudia Gray at the Puerto Rico Comic Con, and just so many wonderful opportunities that I've had. And it all began because one day if you want to be very specific, because one day I saw Underworld and I said I can write something better. If you want to go back to the beginning, when one teacher said, you know what, I think you've got a lot of talent. So that's why every time I see a sign of talent or people with desires and dreams, I do try to support them any way I can, because I know the difference that a positive word can make. But yeah, that's pretty much the inception. I'll be talking more about my writer journey and other stuff related to me as an author. If you like this, by all means, please click the thumb. If you want to see more of this, subscribe. And all the whole shebang that we normally do to get people to give us a chance. So, with that in mind, and with a lot of gratitude, I say peace, love, and maki rolls.